Hello, everybody, and today I am going to be talking about something that I talked about a little while ago, I think a few months ago, and it was mostly talking about the job that I had. And if you didn't ever watch the video or never watched or saw anything about me mentioning a job, I used to work at a job in a grocery store. Like, I was a cart pusher, mostly a multitasker, and for multitasker, what I did is obviously push cards. I did overstock, things that people just, what, I'm not gonna buy this anymore. Can you put this somewhere else? And we would get all those things that people don't want anymore, put them on a cart, and just put it back where they were. And then I also stocked beer. So I was a multitasker, and I was fine with that because I think maybe just pushing carts was gonna be boring as hell for me. And I'm glad that I didn't just get cart pushing, because there would be many times when there would be a lot of carts already out there, and probably like only one or not even any that would be out in the parking lot. So it's good that I'm doing multiple things, I guess. And I worked at that place for around 6 months, and I did have to, it's called, quit the job because of some family issues, and I had to move out. But I'm going to be talking about sort of like the things that happened there, like things that I guess for working for 6 months, even if I obviously didn't work as long as many others, and people might say, "Oh, that's not a 9 to 5 job or whatever." It doesn't matter. It's still a job, and I usually had sometimes, if just rarely, maybe it would be 4 or 5 hours, not that much, but usually it would probably be 6 hours, maybe 7 hours, but also rarely as well 8 hours, an 8 hour shift, which I kind of hated. And 7 hours was a little bad, but I had to just deal with it. 6 hours was just normal. And I always worked at sort of the afternoon shift from 3 to 9, usually around there. But there would be some chances where I would work at noon, and I never really worked in the morning. That was only when I first started. But other than that, always usually worked in the afternoon, and sometimes I would work on holidays, which did kind of suck because um, you know, it sucks working on a holiday. That's all it is. But what I'm going to be talking about is throughout working all those 6 months on that job, I will say this: it really made me hate people there. Like, it made me hate anyone that goes there. Not everyone. I know there were a lot of people out there that just, they were just grocery. They're just going for groceries and, just getting the food that they need. That's no problem. But I'm talking about, like, just a specific amount of people that just sort of angered me and pissed me off when I worked there, that made me hate my job. And it was annoying, but I did have to deal with it. That's what happens. That's what many people have to deal with for, like, jobs like customer service, like, I don't know, restaurant, like fast food restaurant jobs, convenience store, retail, stuff like that. It can happen. There can be a lot of petty and annoying customers. And I'm going to be talking about some things, like sort of different situations that happened during those 6 months. And the first one that I'm going to be talking about that I think is super fucking annoying and pisses me off so much. And I know I already basically said a lot of this in my other video, but I'm just going to talk more about it this time. And one of the things was many of the people that obviously would have shopping carts, and when they're done, the normal thing for everyone probably is when you're done using the shopping cart and you put everything in your car, the normal thing would be taking those shopping carts. If you want to go the extra mile, just take it back in the store, but usually just take them on the shopping cart return lanes for, the cart pushers to just put them back inside. And that's the normal and just, well, normal thing to do for any customer. But there were a lot of people, annoying people, that instead of sort of being lazy, all they did was either leave some of the carts on some parking spaces, leave them there, leave, or if they were super lazy and say they take the bus or walk, they would go all the way at the end of the parking lot. Sometimes have the carts go over some of the curbs for the parking lots at the end, like lift the parking or the shopping cart, lift it over, put it over the curb, and then have the carts lock and leave them there for the cart pushers to go get them. And anyone who does this or did this at all, I just wanted you to know, I want you to know that, like, actually fuck you. Like, you're actually annoying if you do that. And people might say, "Oh, it's your job to go get shopping carts." But yeah, if it's my job, at least don't be such a fucking petty fucker about it. It's my job to get the shopping carts, but you're making it even worse and annoying by taking it all the way to the end of the parking lots or even farther because you're so lazy that you want to save a few extra steps. That way you won't have to carry your groceries less. It's so fucking annoying, and it was annoying for me too because for some reason I guess my store had a lot of situations where some of the remote for unlocking the carts disappeared, like they got missing. They were gone, and so because of that, there would only be one, and it would mostly be me and sometimes some other coworkers at times that would help me out or just be there to push carts. There would only really be one or two remotes, but it's mostly just one, so it would be a pain having to deal it all one by one, just from me or from someone else, and then take the shopping carts back. And it's so annoying because there would be times when many of the shopping carts, some of them were sort of defective because the locking thing sometimes wouldn't even unlock. They would just be locked and they would just be fucked up, and we would have to lift the carts because they wouldn't unlock and lift them up and try to go one by one with them because there would sometimes be a lot of them and put them back all the way on the back of the store. That way no one else takes them by accident. Or also there would be situations when the remote would actually be dead and no one charged them, I guess. And because of that, we wouldn't have the remote to unlock them. So I would have to actually get them all one by one, all the locked ones, and then take them inside the store and flip them up. That way no one takes them. And then when the the battery's charged at least, I then unlock them and putting back in just the rows of shopping carts. That way then people can get them. And if you want to do any of us a favor, anyone that shops and does this, do us all a favor and just, when you're done with them, put them in the in the shopping cart return lanes. That way, so all of us, like any workers that work on grocery store push carts or cart pushers, can just have it easy there, because anyone who does that is extremely petty, lazy as hell, and are just an asshole. Luckily, I don't really work in this job anymore. I don't work at it anymore, unfortunately, but I had to. But even myself, I would never do that because it's extremely petty, and I don't want any of the cart pushers, anyone working on grocery store, have their job more worse because they're not paid enough to deal with shit like that. It's annoying and it's super fucking petty. So anyone who does this, fuck you. Like, actually, fuck you. Now, the next thing that I'm going to be talking about is one that I guess I can sort of understand in some ways, but it still annoys me to this day, is customers customers basically going to the store and like shopping a shit ton of things when there's like 5 minutes or maybe less before closing. This pisses me off so much as well because do you know how petty that is as well? Like, you had basically 12 hours to shop in that place. And the time you decide to actually go and shop is when we're about to close. You had the entire day and you just shop now when we all want to go home. That's so fucking annoying. It was so irritating. Even some of my other coworkers were annoyed as well because obviously it's a problem and annoying for the cashiers, but also some of us for like one of the managers and some other employees that were just like me. Stalkers are also not really stalkers actually because they didn't have to deal with that, or just also other cart pushers, I guess. But that was so annoying because now we have to wait for the cashiers to obviously scan everything, wait and go through that whole process so that way they bag everything, they pay everything, they check the prices and everything, and then eventually when they do pay, finally, they have around 1 to 2 carts, take them to their car, wait more longer, and then when finally they're done with packing all of their food into their car, then we have to go and get those carts to finally take them all inside and make sure there's no carts outside left and close up. Because, dude, that's so annoying. It's so irritating because we just want to go home. We want to go home. Of course, you're able to go home because you're not working at that day. But why do you think it's like appropriate time to just shop right when we're about to close? I understand sort of for people that don't shop a lot, like let's say for example they're just there to pick up 1 to 2 items. I can understand that, maybe just, I don't know, for emergency or something, or maybe they just want to just, I don't know, snack or something. But for the people that decide to shop and fill up their carts to 1 to 2 carts all the way, making basically a whole shopping spree, I guess. Why at that time? Why? Is it because it's more better because there's less people there? Are you that sort of impatient that you're willing to just wait it out all the way until it's closing? That way you don't have to wait in line. It's super irritating for everyone working there. We just want to go home, and we're not paid for overtime, even if it's not like an hour or 30 minutes. We're not paid to stay even longer. When the shift finishes, we just want to go home. That's it. We don't want to have to stay any more longer because of you deciding to suddenly want to shop a whole giant fucking amount of food. Like, please, for anyone that does this, if you're gonna go to a grocery store, I guess, try to shop at least 30 minutes or an hour before. And if you're going to shop, please don't be a massive amount. At least minimum, you should never shop, like decide to shop, I guess 10-15 minutes before closing, I guess. Maybe 5 minutes, but that exact time. Don't shop at that time because it's super annoying and irritating for all of us to have to wait even more for you to go finish shopping and announce any customers that are still in here, please go to the checkout, we are closing, and have to see your giant fucking set of food in your shopping cart and wait until the cashiers have to scan everything and deal with that whole process of paying. It's so annoying and it pisses me off so much. So anyone that does this late at night when we're about to close, actually fuck you as well, alright? Now the next thing that I'm going to be talking about is basically customers treating the employees or anyone like shit, like actually treating them like shit. And that's why I think the phrase "the customer is always right" has really died down and become worthless because many of the customers, I'm not saying every single one. I know everyone can just, they're just there to shop. That's all it is. But I'm saying there's quite a few people, I guess, some people out there that are just so petty that they just make it even worse for employees to deal with their job. We are not paid enough to deal with your shit. It's super irritating. And also, take care of your fucking kids. Like, make sure they don't go around and drop shit. Make sure they don't take shit. Make sure they don't eat any product that isn't paid yet. Because now we have to deal with that shit and deal with damaged product that's so annoying because now it just makes it look the store disgusting. And we have to take those damaged products all the way to the back, and I guess the people working in the back having to deal with all the credit shit with damaged product. It's so annoying. And then also people just being pieces of shit, spilling things, eating things as well, just eating it and leaving it there. It's disgusting. Also, sometimes there would be times when customers would take specific items, let's say that things that are supposed to be refrigerated or, in the freezer. They would decide that, oh yeah, maybe I'll get this. And then later on, you know what, I don't want this anymore. Let me just put this giant fucking packed chicken breast over here in this aisle where there's supposed to be cereal. And just hide it behind so that way no one sees it. Do you know how stupid and lazy you are doing that sort of thing? It's disrespectful, it's horrible, and you're just wasting food. You're just wasting food. You just had those animals that I guess sacrificed their lives for you just for you to have it go to waste. It's stupid as hell. And I don't care what if people say, oh, just be vegan or whatever. I'm not going to argue with that shit. It sounds stupid. But still, for many of the people that, want to eat food and, animals going through that whole process of, getting killed, you just made that whole process go to waste. And there's many other products as well, like maybe milk, maybe, I don't know, meat, just other refrigerated things like ice cream as well. But it's so disrespectful and so disgusting that you would do something like that. That you're so lazy that you don't want to walk a few steps to put the shit back. That way it doesn't go to waste and people can buy that product. It makes you look even more scummy just because you're that lazy. And then there are also times when customers would be pretty petty, like argue and everything, and just cause a scene in the store. Like for example, let's say for example, I recall one time when he wasn't really a car pusher. He sometimes did car pushing, but mostly just a cashier. One of my coworkers um was basically going to one of the stores, like a restaurant, not a restaurant. I think it was a Dunkin' Donuts to sort of get it for break, like his break, so he can eat, and that was sort of just like his lunch or whatever. And he went to go to Dunkin' Donuts to, I guess, like get a coffee or something. And right when he was heading back, there was these guys that basically sold shit, like random sort of things, like usually like posters, socks, I don't know, stuff like that, random things that you would see people sell. And what they did is when they were just chilling there, because those guys, stayed there for quite a long time, like basically every day. Every time I worked there, I always saw them. They're just out there, sort of outside of the parking lot to sell their stuff. And what those guys did is basically they were still kind of close to the parking lot. They were throwing all their trash into sort of the parking lot, like parking space for the grocery store, and just leaving their shit there instead of just throwing in the garbage that was basically close by. They were throwing all their shit away, like, littering and everything, and just leaving a giant mess, making it disgusting for, I guess, the view of the store. And I'm not trying to defend, like, $1 million, like, corporate grocery stores or whatever. I'm just saying, like, it's like we're the lowest of the low. We are the employees, the lower ones that make the money for the corporate store. We aren't the corporate. We're just the lower employees that make the less amount of money. And you're just making it even more harder to deal with because now our store just looks more disgusting. And because of that, my coworker, he got pissed off, and I can understand that. And he got annoyed. He's like, "Dude, what the hell are you doing? You're leaving shit all over the place." And then they started arguing back and forth. Like he's like, "I don't give a fuck" or whatever. And he's like, "This is this. You can't be littering shit here. Stop doing that." And then told him to like pick shit up and stop littering and everything. And because of that, it was mostly two guys that were the sellers, and I think they were like either close friends or brother. I don't know. They were close friends, and one of the guys wasn't there, so it was just one of them. And I'm guessing the guy, the other seller, came back, and the guy that did that shit like confronted my coworker or whatever, told him what happened, and then because of that, that guy, I saw him walking right towards the store, and I saw he was pissed off. And when I was putting more carts back inside, they were in a nasty argument, and I could tell. And he was like, "Oh, you talking shit? You talking shit? Come on, let's go." Some shit like that. I don't exactly remember what happened, but he was getting confrontation, like getting pissed off, and my coworker was sort of kind of trying to like ignore it, like, "Yeah, whatever, I don't care, fuck you." He didn't say that, but it was like just yapping shit. All right, they were yapping, and luckily one of the stalkers that was working at that time was like, "Hey man, come on, let's go outside and talk." And thankfully he did that because they went outside and they started talking, like, I understand that and everything, like stuff like that, trying to calm him down and just relax and just try to move on from that shit. And I think he did because of that. The two sort of like gave like a like they gave us just he's like, "All right, see you, man," like, sort of like acting friendly now, like, "All right, see you," just giving a handshake or whatever, like that shit that usually people do. He's like, "All right, we're cool, we're cool." And he went back, to the place they were selling. And after that, the stalker sort of kind of like confronted my coworker, saying like, "Hey, did you do this or did you do that?" Sort of, kind of like it seemed like he was lying of what he said and everything, trying to confront if he was lying or anything. But I'm not sure entirely what happened, like if, like, who was the guilty person. I understand sort of like it's not right and cool to just litter your shit all over the parking lot and leave your shit just because you're lazy and you don't want to don't like throw your shit out. But also when you deal with that shit, it's important to like stay calm and don't let that shit get to your head to have people like make it look like the people out there are, you are higher than them. Like, don't be a higher, like, egotistical person, I'm trying to say. But yeah, that's one thing that it annoyed me. Another thing was also causing drama with the customer, or with the cashiers as well. That it was mostly common for the cashiers, in my opinion, I think, because I recall one time, I think one of the cashiers, uh, sort of, I guess one of the customers, I guess, started acting like a tick. Or I can't really call what exactly happened and how it started, but because of that, one of the customers and one of the cashiers started arguing, and I think he started saying fucked up shit to her, the cashier, and because of that, the guys, like, the guys working there at that time, is like, hey yo man, you gotta go, you gotta go. Even the security guard was starting to get involved, and apparently the guy that started to shit up, like the customer, started calling the security guard and was like, shut the fuck up, you like gangster or whatever. Like, started calling him a gangster, like a gangbanger or something. I don't know how he looked like it, and because of that, he was, when they tried to like get him to leave, sort of like not trying to be physical or anything, but I guess he started bringing shit up like that, and then he suddenly started saying, he was like, "Hey man, I got a right to defend myself. I got a weapon. I got a right to defend myself." He didn't show a weapon at all, but I was like, "Holy shit, what the fuck is going on?" And he was sort of giving that vibe that he was going to like, defend himself, I guess, with a weapon, because he kept talking about that, like he has an ID or something, like a gun ID or something. So I was like, holy shit, what the fuck's gonna happen? But luckily, nothing did happen at all. He eventually did leave and started sort of trash talking to the employees, and eventually he did leave, and luckily nothing obviously escalated. But I was like, holy shit, man, why can't people just be normal people when they're shopping? And then another situation that happened specifically to me is, I think it was around Halloween, last year. It was around Halloween when I was working, and it was raining at that time. And I recall seeing a customer's car. Like, the customer, I feel like I think he had like a sort of Halloweeny vibe, because he had some little props or decorations around his car in the back specifically. And I was like, what the fuck? That looks kind of cool. And I guess I kind of sort of stared at it, maybe. And maybe he was implying like that. And maybe he thought it was like he's getting like creeped out by me or something. I don't know. I was just looking at it. I was like, what the fuck? Because maybe it might be a problem that I was staring too much about it, or staring too much at it. And because of that, when I was just later on minding my business and getting more carts and pushing them, the same car, when I was just pushing them, sort of like speed ran right in front of me, like, drove in front of me and like stopped immediately. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? And that guy came out and he's like, hey yo, what the fuck's going on, huh? Why you looking at me like that? Why you looking at me like that? And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he's like, hey, you trying to start shit or whatever? Like, you got a problem? He's like, nah, man, I'm good. I don't have a problem at all. What's going on? I'm good. And obviously I got kind of nervous, and I saw the girl, like, cause the guy had a girlfriend, I guess, maybe someone. And he's like, come on, let's just go. Come on, calm down. And he sort of looked paranoid. I'm assuming he was looking paranoid. I don't know. He maybe looked like it seemed that people are out to get him or something. That's what it looked like. And maybe it was sort of partly my fault, but I don't get what's going on in his life that's making him really paranoid, that even some employees that are just sort of, I guess, looking at his car seem like they're onto him or something, like they're trying to get to him. And later on, I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I was kind of sort of a little spooked, but he eventually sort of parked kind of like in front of the store, not in the entrance, just sort of in the middle of the two entrances, where you're not supposed to park. And the woman got out, and I don't know if she was talking to me or just another guy that was chilling in the entrance, and she said, sorry about that. And then eventually they just left. And that was probably one of the craziest moments that I had happen to me. But I guess he was just paranoid, and I hope he's okay. But if I highly doubt he would ever watch this. But if you would ever see this video, if you know who I am, if you're that person that sort of confronted me, I guess I had no ill intention of you. I just thought your car decoration was kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, that's another thing. Just customers being pieces of shit to employees that aren't paid enough to deal with this shit. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention that many people would do like sort of being gross is there would be some times when people would buy like packaged food already, like I don't know, packaged, let's say wings, chicken, like heated chicken, sandwiches, I don't know, stuff like that, I guess. And what they would do is when they're done finishing or like eating their food, what they would do is just leave the leftovers or I guess things all on the shopping cart. For example, sometimes I would have people, I guess, finish eating chicken and then instead of throwing away, I guess, the bones and everything, they would leave it on the shopping carts, and it was fucking nasty as hell, bro. It's fucking disgusting. Why would you leave it that shit there, man? Things like apples, vegetables, stuff like that. They would just leave them there for us having to pick all that shit up one by one, and it's disgusting. It's horrible, and I don't know why people do that. Also, another thing, like littering as well. I recall one time when there was this guy, I guess, that was eating Little Caesars, sort of just kind of like in front of the parking lot. And what he did is, I guess when he thought he was done eating his food, he basically, because he had a pizza box and another one, like a smaller one, which I guess was like cheese bread, or I don't know if it was chicken, like wings. But I guess when he was done, all he did was basically just grab all that shit or leftovers and throw it in the fucking parking lot. Just throw it on the floor and leave it there. And it was all just all over the floor, and it was stupid. Dude, do you know that we have like 4 different garbage cans around the store in the parking lot and by the entrances? Why did you throw it out in front of the parking lot? What was the purpose of that? Did you just not want to get out of your car? That's disgusting, and it's horrible. Like, why would you do something like that? And then I would like to also mention one more thing that pissed me off as like a lot as much as the other ones that I just mentioned. And I'm sorry if I keep stuttering so much. But another thing that will be the last thing I guess I talk about is people that parked in the entrances. And I know people can agree as well with this, and it's something that I don't know why a lot of people do. Is what they do is the entrance part, like close to the sidewalk of the entrance. You are not supposed to park there because customers are obviously going through there inside, like going inside and then going outside to take their stuff or just go inside. So you are making it dangerous for the customers and maybe even the employees to cross the street, and you're just in the way for all of us because you're so lazy that you don't want to park in a parking lot. Do you realize how lazy and fucked up that is? You are endangering many of us because you never know what could happen in sort of just the front entrance of a grocery store. You never know what could happen. And especially me, someone that was pushing carts, it was annoying as hell to me because I would be pushing a massive amount of carts at the same time. I would be usually carrying, or not carrying, just have together 6, 7, maybe even more carts all together at the same time. I think the highest I've gotten maybe was 12 carts, maybe more, if I could. But it would be a massive amount of carts, and I know it's risky as hell for me to do that. But I would always make sure that no one's around, no one's going inside or outside, and if they are, I wait a lot more longer before I go through because I don't want to crash obviously into someone's car because that would obviously be a problem for the managers and everything. And that's something that has happened to me maybe 1 or 2 times when I guess someone many times would leave their car just right in the middle of the parking lot, and just it would be going straight to a car and crash into it. And then another time was when I accidentally was gathering a bunch of carts and one of them sort of unhooked together, and that did cause a little dent or like scratch to the car. And when the customer sort of like talked to me about it and was like, "Hey, do you know that you did this?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't see that," or whatever. Luckily, the customers or anything, they didn't, you know, file a lawsuit or anything. Thank God, they were pieces of shit and caused me more fucking problems. And I'm not trying to sound selfish or something. I was like, I did feel bad and I was worried because I felt like I was gonna lose my job and make it more of a problem for others. But luckily, nothing really happened. Manager was like, just be careful next time, don't let it happen again. I was like, all right, my bad. And now what I'm talking about is specifically for me, I would obviously be carrying a lot of cards, and because of those incidents, I made sure that I wouldn't do that again to make it more efficient, that I don't have to carry a bunch of them sort of just one by one. Like, I don't want to have to carry 4 carts and then have to do it with another 4 and another 4 and another 4. I would want to do all of them together mostly if I could. But specifically, it would be annoying for me because there would always be like 2 to 3 cars parking on the area you're not supposed to be parking, so that way it's not dangerous for any customers or any employees going through, and you don't get in their way. Just because you are waiting for someone, or I don't know, you're too lazy to just go in or something, it doesn't exclude or excuse the fact that you are getting in the way for many people and just being a disturbance, and also making it dangerous for us. Because let's say, for example, it could happen, it might not, but for example, I don't know, the person waiting in front accidentally, accelerates or something, you could crash into someone, something could happen, and it's dangerous and it's messed up. So you should never ever park in the spots that you're not supposed to in the entrance. It's not what you're supposed to do, but people do it anyways. And it's super annoying because I have to make sure that when I have the carts all the way in the front, don't lean left or right. That way I won't crash into them and cause damage. It's super excruciatingly annoying that people do that. And if anyone does that, dude, you have a whole parking lot to park. It doesn't matter if there's a lot of them filled up and you can only park in the ends. Dude, you're parking. And I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like a crime that you do that. But of course, there's never any police to confront anyone about that. But you should have an obligation at least to know, oh, I can't do this. Okay, I won't do it. But no, you're just too lazy to just go and park and do your shopping or just wait for someone. It's so annoying because I'm trying to do my job and push the cards inside. That way I won't have to do it constantly. But no, you're in the way and just making my job more harder than it's supposed to be. And I'm not saying, oh, I want everything given to myself, just given to me, like just spoon fed or something. No, I understand that my job, it's a job that I'm supposed to do. But still, that doesn't mean that I'm paid enough for you to deal with your shit. I'm not paid enough to deal with your shit. It's annoying that I have to deal with many things that customers can do. I'm not saying every single person, but there are many customers that still do this and think, yeah, I'm in the right and I just want to get this shit over with. It's super annoying. It really is. Just get out of the way. We're all just trying to go inside or outside. That's all it is. And we don't want to have to squeeze through the middle of your spots, of your cars, because you're waiting for someone or you're just too lazy. The only time I guess I sort of understand when this is excusable, I guess, is when basically it's, the shit's over. Like, it's already closing. That's the only time I guess I understand, because no one's around really. Nobody is ever around. And it's mostly for the employees that, have people pick them up, like, families or whatever, have them get picked up by their families and wait it out so that way they could just leave. I understand that because no one's around to have to deal with that shit and they just want to leave. That's all it is. But for people that are shopping when it's super, like, populated right now, when it's busy, it's stupid and dangerous, and it's annoying as hell for all of us, I would say, because you're just in the way. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed my long rant, and I know I made a video on like this before, but I wanted to talk about, like, because of sort of working on a job like this, it was pretty annoying, and it really made me hate people. Like, it really did, and it made me hate anyone that was a piece of shit or just making it harder than it's supposed to be. And if you do any of these that I mentioned, please stop doing it, because you're only making it worse for the employees to have to deal with their shit and doing a job that they probably don't like at all. But I guess I think it's good that I've had some experience with something like this, because then I can deal with some shit like this later on. And I can confidently say that I'm not going to be the kind of petty person that is super lazy like that and makes the employee's job more harder than it needs to be. But I think I conclude my rant and say I think it was a decent experience. Luckily, the coworkers that I had, many of them weren't like petty. Really, none of them were petty. They were all mostly cool. Just a few guys that I think were cool and nice to me, luckily. And the managers were also like pretty cool as well. Especially the one that hired me. I think she was cool. But that's basically it, I would say. And I just want to say it wasn't really the employees or anyone, I guess managers, that caused me stress and made me annoyed as hell. It was mostly the customers and anyone watching. I think all of us should do better for employees because just they're here to work and nothing else, not to deal with your bullshit. We shouldn't make it more harder than it should be, especially with many of the influencers making it more painful for people to work, and also the Karens as well. Where's your manager and whatever? But that mostly concludes my video. I hope you enjoyed my rant, and I need a new job, but hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next time. See ya.